So what I thought I'd do, guys and girls, ladies, over the last few weeks, there's been a bunch of questions that have been really geared towards how to grow your business through agents, like, growing agent sales. So I thought, there was a bunch of questions last week. I've had a bunch of people that have sent me over a few things this week, outreach emails and things like that. And it's just been a consistent theme over recent weeks, and people I guess it's coming with the winding up of the Northern Hemisphere season, people have got a bit more time to focus on developing their business. People have, so many people have identified that it's really sales and implementing, additional sales channels, diversifying their sales channels is going to be a real focus so they can tackle 2023 with some really exciting projections. So I thought it would be a good idea for me to actually just do like a dedicated 30 minutes or so, just running you guys through how you can grow agent sales in your business. And so anyone that did, I had a look last night, there wasn't a huge amount of questions that people had submitted. So anything that did come through over the last, few hours, we might just kick it over to next week unless it's urgent. And if it's urgent, you can just jump in and ask me over the next day or two. So without further ado, you don't want to see that. What I did, I just popped down a few quick notes here this morning, just in a really basic Google Doc. So which we might run through. So before I start, has anyone got any questions, any thoughts or anything that they wanted to run by me that was really pressing? I'm guessing it's a no, so we'll we'll push on. Oh, and the other thing I was going to mention, I've got Charles Odom, who I suggested coming onto the call, who I want to have a chat with him. He's got a really cool concept that he's been working on over recent months that I think is something I'd love to get behind, and something really exciting and honorable, which is all about supporting and empowering you guys as tour operators. So I just want to have a super quick chat with him towards the end of the call about what he's up to, and I think you guys will find it really interesting, and I'll just share that recording in the group as well. So anyway, growing sales through agents. Now, it's something like a lot of operators have had, what I find is a really common theme is that there's been a really strong over-reliance on just a couple of channels. Direct, obviously, people are really focused on growing direct sales, and OTAs are really the two predominant channels through which people grow their businesses. And I see over and over a really unhealthy reliance or over-reliance on those two specific channels. So, and people aren't really sure how. They're just, it's a bit overwhelming. They're a bit lost. They don't know how to grow their business through building agent relationships. And if they do, they sort of, they tackle it, they don't see it through, they don't get the traction that they're looking for instantly, and they just can it, they drop it, and they just revert back to what they know. So I thought I'd just give you a bit of a step-by-step as how you guys could all, over the next 6, 12, 24 months, really have some success growing your business through agent networks. So probably a lot of you guys know this, but just to run really quickly through, I guess, the distribution chain. And this is like traditional. I would note that there's links that could come out of this chain at any point, okay? And I'll explain what I mean by that. So traditionally, you've got, like, let's call it Joe and Betty in New York, who want to go to, let's call it Australia. They go to their travel agent, and they again, this is traditional. They'll go to the travel agent. We want to go to Australia. The travel agent will, talk to them about their needs, their desires, what they want out of the trip. And they might even present them a few brochures, okay? Now, let's say, for example, there's a company called Down Under Australia, based in Seattle. They are a travel wholesaler. They would have a brochure that has Australian options, ideas, holiday, holiday presentations, proposals, ideas. So that travel agent might buy their travel products through Down Under Answers, okay, as a large travel wholesaler specializing in Australia that serves the US market. That travel wholesaler would then use, like an inbound tour operator or like a destination management company, perhaps on the ground in Australia, who is going to look after the actual travel end to end. Okay, so that could be Southern Crossings Australia, a Sydney-based company that has customers who are travel agents or travel wholesalers who use them to look after their clients from the moment they touch down on Australian soil to the moment they depart. They look after everything that happens, hotels, attractions, touring options, and all those things, okay? So they would be the company that engages you as a tour operator to look after their customers, okay? And you are the tour, the activity or the experience, okay? I don't want to get deep into commission levels, but I'll touch on it briefly down the line. But ultimately, for you to be working with a destination management company or an inbound tour operator, like a ground operator, you would generally be paying them a 25% commission, i.e. you've got a tour that's $1,000. They sell that tour for $1,000 to their customer, okay, and you get $750, okay? That's the way commission works. I can go deeper on that. But there's always links that can be taken out of the chain. So for example, you could have a wholesaler that comes direct to you, okay? The wholesaler just might have a lot of confidence in their ability to understand Australian touring products, all right? They don't necessarily think they need to rely on the inbound tour operator. Or that wholesaler might actually have their own representative or small office on the ground in Australia, okay? Cutting out that middleman and saving that commission level. So they, as a wholesaler, could book you directly. The travel agent could book you directly as well, okay? So Joe's High Street New York Travel might have come down to Australia 25 times and just be so across that destination, he knows it can book you directly, all right? So, and then Joe and Betty from New York, they might book you directly as well, obviously. So those links can come out of the chain anytime, all right? But what I say, and I will touch on this briefly, as far as rates go, there's for a lot of you in the all of you in the program, to price your tours to be wildly profitable. I've got a great lesson there in week 3 that's going to show you how to create a pricing structure that allows you to build in that 25% commission to be able to work with any distribution partner, including agents. Okay, so that and that's ultimately what you want to do. If you can build in a 25% commission, you can work with anyone on the planet. All right, and that opens up such a whole world of opportunities, especially agents. All right, if you're paying 25% commission to an OTA, sure as hell you can be paying that to an agent. Okay, I would just really quickly say the key to having success with agents is all about relationships. You're in the relationship business. Okay, if you can build great relationships, trust, and grow together, nurture each other, you can have a lot of success. So I will, and that probably goes on to this first point. So why agents? Well, a little bit of insight. And it's obviously really easy and useful to use my own experience there. So hopefully you guys can see that. I sold my business back in 2017. When I sold it, we were doing sort of close to around about $3 million a year in sales. All right. 37% of those sales were through travel agents. I call them travel partners. Okay. Agents, wholesalers, inbound tour operators. And that was the cornerstone of my business. That may seem like an over-reliance, but really you can break that down into probably 20 to 30 really good quality partners or accounts. Okay, so there's not really an over-reliance because that 37% was broken down into a bunch of different agents serving different markets and things like that. So hopefully that makes sense. And back to why agents? Well, to give you a bit of a sense of how valuable that was to me. So in the first couple of years I was in business, I was trying to figure it out myself. I was doing about 60K a year in sales. It was a grind. It was just me with one van. Couldn't really break through. Okay. And I didn't have agent relationships. There was a few strokes of luck, some good advice, some great introductions. And I realized how important it was to grow my business through agents. Okay. And I really doubled down on that between year 2 and 3. So then by year 3, I jumped from about 60K to 250K in revenue. All right. And then by year 4, that jump was even more significant. So I was doing 750K by year 4. And then by year 5, I was doing $1 million. A couple of years later, I doubled that to be doing 2 million. And then it was just on and on and on. Okay. And the cornerstone of that was my agent relationships and the business that I drove through agents. And that's not what I wanted to show you. Don't want to see my tax debt. So that is some of you would have seen this report, but I think it's really powerful. Remembering, of course, as I told you, that when I started the business, I had no agent relationships. When I sold it back in 2017, probably 5 to 6 years after I really doubled down on building agent relationships, my top agent was sending me, this was 9 months of revenue in our financial year. So, add 25% to that. My top agent, Southern Crossings, was sending me about $260,000 a year in bookings. My next best was around 170, 160. So my top 10 agents collectively would be sending me about well over $1 million a year in bookings. All right. My top 20, probably about $1.5 million. So that's pretty cool. And for a company, and anyone is out there thinking, yeah, but there's no way, it's just me, running walking tours, or just me with one van running all the tours myself. Every single one of these relationships I've built, pretty much the first time that we came into connection with each other, I reached out to them, we were introduced. It was just me with one van running all the tours by myself. And I was able to build a relationship, start to see a trickle of bookings turn into a flow, and then a flow into a stream, and then a stream into a flood. And that's where we got to. All right. So I believe anyone has the capacity to get these kind of results. And what's great about agent business, agent relationships and bookings, well, as I mentioned, first of all, it's relationship driven. Okay. So once you have built the relationship and they have kind of taken you on as or one of their preferred suppliers doing what you do, your job's done. Ultimately, there's regular updates and training and stuff, but ultimately they just funnel all of their private tour bookings or their scheduled tour bookings or whatever you do through you. You're the man, you're the girl, you're in. Okay. Once you're in, you're in. All right. So you can just sit back while they're out there marketing, pounding pavement, marketing and promoting your tours and activities through their networks, their trade shows, their sales calls, all those kind of things. You're just watching the bookings flow. Okay. So, and that's the way it works. So it's once the relationship is built, ultimately, the hard work's done. Okay. So you can be assured that if you're paying 25% commission to an agent, the good ones, they're out there putting it to really good use, marketing and promoting your tours. And the proof will be in the pudding. And then the other thing is it's just consistent revenue. It's like the holy grail. Okay. So for anyone, let's say me, I could start every year through the back 5 years of my business with a guaranteed $1 million a year in sales. I could start every year with almost 99% confidence that group of agents would be sending me $1 million a year in bookings that year. So I could make really intelligent decisions. I could recruit, I could bring on new vehicles, I could do trade activities or marketing initiatives and things like that. So that, as for a small grown business, is like the holy grail. Okay. So that's the key. So what do they want? Because ultimately, if you speak to an agent, most agents, the good ones, will say, we're out there, we're always looking for new ideas, fresh products and experiences. We want to set ourselves apart. Okay. That's what the good ones will be saying. The not so good ones will be saying, I don't know what you're talking about, but you can actually convince them. You can sometimes people don't know what they want until you tell them. So if you're talking to an agent and you're sort of talking to them and saying, well, surely, someone in your position really wanting to reboot after COVID, I guess you're out there really looking for fresh ideas, new products and experiences, stuff that's going to set you apart in a really congested marketplace. They'll be like, hey, yeah, he's absolutely right. But the good ones will be aware of that. Okay. But ultimately the reality is that it's hard for agents. Some are lazy and some are just consumed with busyness. And it's really a lot easier for an agent to sell the same stuff they've always sold. Okay. Because if you're presented with a new experience, like let's say you're speaking to a product manager that you've reached out to, that you've met at a trade show, and they're like, wow, this is great. Kevin, I love these, this new experience that you developed, or, I didn't know that you existed over there in Banff, and we've always used the guy down the road, but wow, you're doing this and this and this, and that's exciting. The actual reality is a different story. They'd love to sell you, but what the product manager's got to do is then get all your stuff, learn about what you do, kick it over to their loading team, who could actually be the product manager in a small office. Then the loading team has got to get all your stuff into their system, your itineraries, your inclusions, highlights, images, rates. There's a process there. It takes labor, it takes time. Then you've got to train the actual people who are in the front line, who are speaking to customers, presenting itineraries and ideas and things like that. All right. And that takes time as well. So you're actually relying on all these layers. And then once everyone is right across your product, then they can start actually selling it. Because think about how hard it sometimes is for you to sell your products. Well, imagine if you're relying on someone who learned secondhand from a product manager in 10 minutes in a team meeting to be able to sell, your product and experience. Okay, so they want your experiences, but then obviously there's a process. Okay, so what you need to do is set yourself apart. Give them a really compelling reason to choose you. Okay, so probably a good example I could use was my own range of tours, and I'll just jump over and grab those to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. When I started my business, and I've told some of you guys this, I was naive in the sense that when I started up, I thought that my really compelling, clear point of difference was going to be me as a really great, energetic, young tour guide, finger on the pulse. And that was going to be the thing that set me apart. Okay. But what I soon learned was I just wasn't getting the traction that I was after. And I learned that, and the reason for that was my first range of tours that I offered was called my luxurious day tours. Right, they were lovely, and then a lot of agents continued to use them right throughout the time I ran MPT. But ultimately, there was no compelling, significant point of difference. Premium viewing options, luxurious touring vehicles, meals in the best restaurants. But ultimately, I was running, private city sites, private Yarra Valley tour, wine tours, a private Phillip Island Penguin Parade that a whole bunch of other operators were doing as well. The Mornington Peninsula Wine Region, the Great Ocean Road Coastal Drive, but nothing really, really unique. So what I did, I went back to the drawing board after a few years, and I completely up-leveled my experiences, and I created what I called my collection of unforgettable journeys. Okay, so a collection of one-off, truly unique travel experiences. So immersion in the destination, interacting with locals, touching, tasting, kind of rolling the sleeves up, getting involved. Nothing out there in the marketplace like it. So a couple of examples, my Melbourne After Dark tour was how my Melbourne City Sites tour evolved. A day with a Melbourne foodie was again something completely exclusive to us, and nothing like any other touring experience being offered in Melbourne. Like remote, sort of coastal, regional wise, our ultimate Great Ocean Road replaced our full day private Great Ocean Road tour. And that retailed at something like, $5,000 for a private tour for two, rather than about $1,300. Okay, so my entire range of experiences up leveled. No one did anything like it. And one of there's a couple of really notable things that happened there. And I'm going to see if I can grab something for you. I think I downloaded the other day. No. What I'll do is, don't worry, look, it was reflected in my rates. So, my tour rates increased by about, they pretty much doubled right across the board. Okay. Some of them we saw increases of like 2 to 3 times, but it was impossible for anyone to compare apples with apples because no one was doing what I was doing. All right. So that was what happened. And the other thing, and that was kind of what led to the really dramatic spike in business through years 3 and 4. And then, but by year 6, I doubled that again. Okay. And there's a couple of reasons for the doubling in revenue. One was, of course, the increased price of my tours because I'd up-leveled them so much. But the second was that an agent now was, rather than booking a Melbourne City Sites tour plus perhaps a Yarra Valley tour for their customers, like a city tour and then a wine tour, they were booking like 4 or 5 of our tours. Okay, so they were increasing the length of time that their customers were spending in Melbourne, and they were taking 4 or 5 tours rather than 1 or 2 or 3. So everything changed, and the beauty is that it wasn't a laborious, time-consuming, resource-draining way to grow my business. It just happened beautifully, seamlessly, and there was a bunch of other wins along the way as well. Our local tourism association wanted to support me, and they wanted to use these types of experiences to sell Victoria as a destination. So they were out there marketing and promoting, recommending, referring, which was amazing. We got media opportunities. Media wanted to talk about some of the really cool stuff we were doing. People wanted to work for us because we were doing the fun stuff. I mean, who doesn't want to spend an hour and a half in a luxury helicopter flying down the Great Ocean Road, you know, compared to running like Groundhog Day and other city sites tour for, you know what I mean? So we attracted a better caliber of guides. People wanted to work for us. We saw that with people just, you know, we didn't need to necessarily advertise for positions after a while. There's just a consistent flow of CVs. We offered better conditions. So it was just a win-win-win. So that's what happens with agents. So that's all the cool stuff. And that's what agents are really looking for. And actually that reminds me of something else, which I'm going to try and show you really quickly here. This was just very coincidental and be useful for you guys to take a look at. Yesterday in the group, I just shared this post here, which is really, really useful. It reaffirms what I had to say. So take a look. It was about 21 hours ago in the How to Grow a Tour Business public group by Lean, who's a member of the group, as a travel advisor. Her take on things. Okay, how valuable suppliers are that can offer unique experiences, special connections, you know, access to the inaccessible. Support is really important as well. Okay, so take a read of that. I think it reaffirms all the stuff that I'm talking about here. And it was, you know, straight from the horse's mouth from an agent who's always looking for suppliers that can elevate her experiences and bring them to life. Okay, so the next aspect of this is this one: how to find them. So there's a myriad of different ways, but I want to focus on tourism associations first of all. Okay, so the best and most effective way for you to identify the right partners for your business is through your tourism association. So for us, now I'm going to use my business as an example, and my region, my destination as an example. So, but most destinations will work fairly similarly. Okay, so we've got Tourism Australia, which is the governing body for tourism in Australia. So they're awesome, like really supportive, all kinds of resources. There's industry resources, there's market intelligence, there's tourism statistics. So they are incredibly valuable. And a lot of you will have tourism associations that are kind of similar. And the thing is, the reason I'm showing you this is because once you're creating or nurturing or building or starting to, you know, try to build a relationship with your tourism association, it's great to use an example of what you want. This is the stuff that they're doing over there in Australia. What sort of stuff have you guys got that's similar to this? Okay, so that was really, really important. There's the wealth of information and value. In every tourism association, there's people who work as let's call it something along the lines of the product team or product development. There's also business development. Oops, God, I'm a terrible typer. Business development teams. There's also the familiarization unit or familiarization team. There's also market coordinators. So people responsible for building relationships in specific international markets. Okay, so they're kind of the people that you're looking for. So we had them. We also then had Visit Victoria, okay, which was, you know, the governing body for Victoria, my state. Okay, and they're again fantastic. I'm going to show you some of the stuff that they created. And then additionally, we had regional tourism associations. So within the state of Victoria, we had Great Ocean Road Tourism, Phillip Island Tourism, Yarra Valley and Dandenong Ranges Tourism, Grampians, blah, 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 all of which had their own teams, marketing and promoting their particular region. They had product development teams, business development. They had market coordinators or market liaisons, you know, dealing with international markets. They had so your goal is to be building a relationship with each of those, the regional tourism associations, state tourism association, and your governing tourism body. Okay, And for me, like I ran tours down the Great Ocean Road, Phillip Island, Yarra Valley. So I was always looking to build relationships with all of them. All of them have got opportunities. They've all got people who can help you. Okay. And with tourism associations, just remembering one thing and always remembering that they have a responsibility to help you. Okay. It is in their best interest. Better quality tourism products and activities and experience translate directly into a more robust tourism economy in that destination. All right. So some of you will have mixed reviews. Some of you are like, yeah, they're not helpful. Others will be like, wow, they're crazy helpful. And some, so you're not always going to hit the jackpot, but you need to be really consistent and really, annoying for want of a better word with your tourism associations, because they are your key to success with international markets and agents. Okay. So here's the sort of stuff that ours created, and I'm trying to think where I put these. Okay. A couple of things I'll show you. Okay. This will be good. So, and I'm going to put this into the program as a resource for two reasons. Okay. One is because it's really useful for all of you running tours in different destinations to see the kind of things that we had on offer for us down here in Australia. Okay. So this was our key tourism show for the year, the Australian Tourism Exchange. Okay. So this was a list of buyers. So all of the travel buyers that came down to Australia every year. Okay. Now, this is something that was created by Tourism Australia, and you could use this as an example for your tourism association when you're wanting to kind of articulate what sort of level of help you would like from them. Okay, so this is like a gold mine of information. You've got your index here, and it's done country by country. Okay, so all the agents from different countries who sell Australia. I'm going to try and just grab one example for you. We'll see if I can get down to something. I'm going to randomly hope here that we can find something of value. So every company that came down, this is what was created by Tourism Australia, their website, obviously, and a whole bunch of information about them, what they do, like they're in the luxury market or luxury mid-range, types of trips they cater for, average spend, and any other really important information. So you can use this to get some insight into Australia, and which could be used to kind of replicate in different destinations around the world. But most importantly, for you to go through this document, because just because someone sold Australia, they will have different programs and destinations that they sell. Okay, so you could find some really great connections through this resource. Okay, agents who do sell Australia, but who also sell different destinations around the world. So let's say these guys may or may not, but what you would do, you would jump on, and that's going to be a bad example. To be honest, I should have actually grabbed one great example. Let me try and go down to the US. That's Germany. It's such a big document. And I'm going to try and hit the jackpot with an agent that sells different types of destinations. You know what? I'm going to use a better example because I've got one lined up for you. But ultimately, you're going to find a whole bunch of agents in there. You're not going to find the right contact because they're going to be the Australian product manager. But what you're going to be able to do is find product managers, like, reaching through that website into that organization. You're going to find the USA product manager, or the Canadian product manager, or other product managers for your destination. So that's going to be something of value to anyone, whether you're selling Australia or not, and indicative of the sort of stuff that we created down here in Australia. Now, the other thing I just wanted to show you is the kind of stuff that our state tourism association created. And I'm going to use this as an example here. So this is what Tourism Victoria, now Visit Victoria, my state tourism association. This is an example from 2013, but you know what? It'll do the job. So every year they created this event called the Victorian International Exchange, and they created a market report for every international market. So this is an example from the United States. Okay, so US visitors to Australia. All kinds of fast facts and information. I'm going to drop this into the program again for a few reasons. One, really interesting reading for all of you, especially if you're in Australia, but it also can be replicated. The information you find in this document can apply to different destinations. Okay, so what is the American visitor? What are the intricacies about the American visitor? You can gauge a lot of information from them. Okay, about, you know, the times they travel, about the best times to reach out to them, all that kind of stuff. Some really interesting information about the distribution chain. But then coming down here, and you know, a lot of this is not relevant because it was such a long time ago, but this is the sort of stuff that they would produce for us by way of contacts. So all of the key wholesalers, all right? So this is, we were given information about, you know, visitors to Australia, key information about the company, the product managers details, and then this is a great example of someone. Let's say, for example, you got Abercrombie and Kent. Well, they sell multiple destinations, so you can jump in here and you can go into the website. You can find out who is the American product manager, sorry, the Canadian product manager. Go Worldwide. They've got a whole bunch of different destinations they sell. Australia is one of them. So for anyone here running tours in Italy or the UK or, you know, different destinations, well, this company would have a program in that destination too. MLT Vacations, the same. All these companies, they have Australian products, but they all sell different destinations. So that would be useful for you to see. And so to reiterate, it's useful for you, to talk with your tourism association about the stuff you would love to get from them, because this is the way they do things down in Australia. Have you got similar types of stuff? Secondly, to learn about that particular international market. And thirdly, to just be running through here at the sort of companies that sell multiple destinations, and you might be able to jump into their site. You may be able to find the product manager that it relates to your destination. Okay, so that is so anyway, tourism associations is one really important channel. All right, then
one question,
others,
Josh.
Yes.
Excuse me. When you're talking about tourism associations and you mean contacting them, would you also advise to join them if possible, or simply to approach them as a provider?
Everyone's different. They're going to have a bunch of different ideas for you to join them on as a paid membership. Everyone's different. Okay, so but ultimately their job should be to support you. They will have memberships that you should benefit from. They will have free tools, resources. So, you know, you would look at every opportunity and weigh it up. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
That makes sense?
Totally.
The other is to go direct to different groups of independent agents. Okay. So, you know, like what you guys want is independent travel agents that sell your destination. So a couple of networks to jump into and take a look around: Virtuoso, Signature Travel Network, Travel Associates, Travel Leaders. Visit USA, for example, has a whole bunch of US based, a whole bunch of different, like inbound tour operators or tour operators within their network. So there are myriads of platforms for independent travel agents. Okay, so to give you a couple of quick examples that might be useful for you, and I've shown a lot of you these in the past. So let's say, for example, the Virtuoso agent network is a really good example. Okay, so in their network, they have got thousands of registered Virtuoso agents. You can come over here to their advisors page. You've got a drop-down menu. Let's say you chose the United States. Okay, you've got 6,000 Virtuoso agents in the United States. Every one of them has got contact info. Great. Every one of them has got information about them as an agent. Their specialities is in the style of holidays. They've got destinations. All right. So you're going to be able to find partners that you align with really easily. Okay. Another one could be like what have we got? Terrible typing. Signature Travel Network could be another example. Where have we got that? Okay. So you're going to come over here. You are going to be able to find hundreds and hundreds of travel experts that you can check out. You can see who sells your destination, and you're going to be able to find great, potential partners. I'm not going to navigate through the website now, but they're going to have interests. They're going to have destinations that they specialize in. Travel leaders would be the same. You're going to come over here. You're going to find agents near me, part of that network of travel agents, independent travel agents who have autonomy in the products that they promote and sell. Look at that, like US wide. You're going to have agents all over the place. Each of them is going to have destinations that they specialize in and focus in. They're going to have specific types of holidays, action, adventure, honeymooners, like family groups, blah, 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 food and wine, outdoor adventure, whatever it is. So that's going to be a logical one for you to find those different networks. There's travel associates down in Australia, if you're running Australian experiences. So again, I'm just showing you 3 or 4 of like hundreds of different platforms that you are going to find different, find your advisor. Okay. So what have we got there? We've got like, 300 different advisors. You're going to go in there, you're going to learn about them. So what I would say, we're going to get onto outreach in a second. Okay. My experience is this: the travel world works differently to any other parts of the world. So as an example, if I reach out to a corporate decision maker to start, selling, like, building a relationship with an event coordinator, they're cagey, they're not open. They're like, how did you get my details? Why am I on your list? Okay, that could happen. All right. The travel world is very different. Generally, agents have got a thirst and a desire to learn about new experiences. They just devour this stuff. All right. They're open. They're not too cagey. There's no wall up. They want to learn about new products and experiences. Of course, you need to be like, not generic and, hey, I found you, like I thought you specifically would love to know about what I'm doing here. All right. Also, they've attended hundreds of different trade activities. They've got no freaking idea where their, what programs their contact details were in. Did they do that trade show with them? They don't know where you came across their details because they've given them out in so many different places. It doesn't matter to them. Okay. Generally, you're not going to have that same challenge with breaking through. Why I'm on your list? I didn't subscribe to you. How did you find, what I mean? That stuff doesn't happen when you're reaching out to agents. Does that make sense? Hope so. So it makes outreach a lot easier. So the other place, so there's a couple of different ways. Ultimately, I'm trying to show you ways to build a massive list. All right. Facebook and LinkedIn groups, another one. So lots of great examples, lots of really shitty examples as well. All right. So you need to find different types of groups through Facebook, through LinkedIn that are really reputable. They're not just like really crap groups where people spam and promote. So you got to look at the group rules first of all. Okay, so this one, it seems like that people are managing it. They have a desire to build a strong community. Okay, it's not a place to spam people. It's not they want to support and share, keep it professional. So read the group rules. Okay, you will find quality groups. You'll find a lot of crap groups, but you'll find quality groups. I just jumped in and found this one in 2 seconds. All right, but it seemed to me like the one, and it's always, you can tell, obviously you want a group that's got a lot of people in it. You want a group that's got really clear group rules, and then you want to check the thread of discussions. Is it all spammy and promotion, or is it people reaching out for help and sharing things, that are valuable? That's the question. All right. And when you're doing that, what you do not want to be doing is just spamming and promoting your tours. Okay. What you want to do is start conversations. Hey guys, I'm new to the group. Wondering who's out there who sells Canada as a destination. Anyone out there who does like adventure and outdoor activities? Love to network with you, or get even pick your brains about what's happening in your world. That kind of stuff. All right. You don't just want to be spam. Hey, come and join my. You know what I mean? Like that's, people don't want that. They don't listen to it. Doesn't resonate. Asking for help and feedback. Hey, to all you guys out there selling US or Canada, I've just created this awesome new blah, blah, blah. Anyone feel like just give me a little bit of feedback on it? That stuff's great. All right. Add value, reach out to people. All right. Can you help people in the group? That's awesome. Check out who the people in the group are. You're finding a lot of people that, like you might be able to, find people that you really align with, that sell your destination, that specialize in outdoor adventure activities. All right. Create polls. What's happening in your world out there, agents? Who's bounced back? Who's selling a lot of blah, blah, blah? Who's, you know what I mean? Like, that's the way you're going to start creating relationships. You're going to find people that you align with. You're going to start. So read the threads, reach out to people. I hope that makes sense. That's just one group, but you can find a lot of value and you can start building a list of really good quality partners and relationships through LinkedIn and Facebook groups. All right. By sifting through and finding the quality ones and not just spamming people or just being smart about the way that you use the group. This was awesome. A tour operator brains trust. You guys should all be doing this. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Well, I'll jump in here. So there's a few companies, Echidna Walkabouts. All right. So really great company down here in down there in Melbourne. Okay. So that's one. Another one was Hidden Secrets Walking Tours. Hidden Secrets Tours. All right. I'm just going to whip through these websites and I'll tell you why. They were great. Melbourne. I saw Jess on the call who bought this company, Sports Tours. This is a little before Jess's time. There's another good partner, so that's these guys, Melbourne Sports Tours. And then this call's going a lot longer than I thought, but that's okay. And then Microflights was another. Okay, so here's why I'm showing you these businesses. These are all Melbourne-based operators. All right, and they are all very, very different to my company that I started, scaled and sold, Melbourne Private Tours. Okay. Well, what we all had in common was we shared a customer. Okay. So we created what, call it anything, a brains trust. We would come together every couple of months and we would share market intelligence together. All right. What are we seeing out of the key markets, US, Singapore, Canada? What's happening? Anyone got anything interesting? So we try to structure it. We even try to encourage people to do like a one-pager before the meeting. Agent insights, any new relationships out there, any agents that are really delivering a lot of business, any recommendations or referrals. Recommendations are better. You're like, hey, you guys, I'm doing 250K a year out of Southern Crossings. Is anyone not working with them? You sure as hell should be. Do you want an introduction? Do you want a referral? Do you want to know who the product manager is? You know what I mean? How valuable is that? What's happening with who's having trouble getting the right relationship or help from a tourism association? Do you want me to make a quick introduction? Hey, market coordinator A, who deals with the US market at Tourism Australia, have you met Rod from Microflight? He's got an awesome product. You guys should really connect. Okay. That sort of stuff. Website analytics. Has anyone seen some big spikes in interest from different markets? That is the most effective way that you can grow your business through agents, I believe. All right. So think about who's out there in your world, 5 or 6 different businesses who might like to be involved in a monthly or quarterly brains trust, just like that. Okay. You are going to get like unrivaled intel, recommendations, introductions, and support. Okay. Then the next one, LinkedIn. Like for anyone now, a combination of all these strategies. All right. So let's say, for example, let's search products manager. Whoops. USA. So if you're a USA based tour operator, just start sifting through LinkedIn and you are going to find the people who are responsible for contracting products. So let's go over here with people. just start going through it. So who's Nina? She's the destination manager, Pacific and USA. So she sells, you want to check these things out, but sells the USA to Australian customers. So if you're a USA tour operator, beautiful contact. I mean, I'm doing this in 2 seconds. The USA product manager, if you sell an attraction, all right, great. But then you're going to start finding, so you'll have to check her out. Is she the USA based product manager selling other destinations, or is she the Australian based? I think she's based in the US selling other destinations. Anyway, so Audley, this chick, so she is based in the US. Audley's a UK company who sell the USA. All right, gold. And then you know what you're going to find out if you're like, hey, Lauren, it seems like what I gather you are selling USA product to the UK market. Did I get that right? Yes, yeah, absolutely I am. Boom. Or like, no, what you need to do is you need to speak to Paul. Okay. So anyway, LinkedIn, you're going to find an absolute mountain of outreach opportunities. Okay. Just by searching product managers. All right. So all of those combined, that's how you're going to start building a list of agents. Okay. So then the next step is the outreach. Any questions at this point? I'm going to take a breath from talking for a second. And if there's no questions, I'm just going to pause for 5 seconds anyway. No, what I'll do is I'll plow on. Okay, so the outreach. So what does an agent want to hear from you when they when they first get in touch? When you first get in touch with them. All right, so I'm going to run through the process that worked for me. All right. Now, what I would say is that there's a whole bunch of testing that is appropriate. Okay, so my strategy you may not find is the best strategy for you. All right, but ultimately it starts with an outreach email. And now here in the program, you've got access to a couple of different versions of that outreach email. So the first one, and I'll just drop this in here because they converted really highly for me. If you haven't seen these, come over and take a look. For anyone who's trying to figure out how they're different, come over here and start creating your own outreach email. But the first thing you want to do in an outreach email is that you want to establish credibility. Well, first of all, get straight to the point, who you are, what you do, okay? Then establish credibility if you can, all right? So I was speaking with blah, 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 whatever it is, but something that someone who thinks you're really great. Any reason for someone to say, oh, right, okay, well, I'm impressed off the bat. They know that person. Clearly they're reputable. Okay, I'm keen to read on. So then you want to make sure it's not generic. Okay. So you've done your homework. They're a good partner for you. You feel like they're a good fit. You don't want to blanket email people. You just won't get any response. Okay. So that's really, really important. Then you want to really stroke someone's ego. Okay. So, something that tells them that you think, that someone thinks they're great, because anyone who gets their ego stroked is going to lean into you. Okay. So they think you guys are great at blah, blah, blah. Or something that you have learned from their website, or, clearly you guys are the benchmark for blah, blah, blah. That stuff really, really helps. Okay. Then jump into a bit of background. Okay. And what do you want to do in that is just establish your position as a real player. Okay. Could be based on how long you've been around. Could be something about the numbers you've done that give them confidence you can deliver at scale. Something along those lines. All right. Your bandwidth with the fleet of vehicles you've got, your number of passengers you served last year. You can do foreign languages, whatever it is. Okay. Then you want to dial in this as the key. How are you different to everyone else? This is the key. All right. For this reason 1, this reason 2, this reason 3. Those guys over there are really good at doing X, Y, and Z. Over here, they were a little bit different, and here's why. Okay, that's really important. Then all you want is an acknowledgement and a show of interest. Hey, this sounds interesting. I'd love to hear more. Okay, so there's that as a long version. Then I've got a shorter version because some people don't want a long email. This is kind of the same thing, just really condensed. Okay, what you want there is to ask someone, are you keen to learn more about me? Okay, that's what you want to get to first base. What you want is a response to say, hey, this sounds interesting. I'd love to learn more. So my strategy that worked for me was not to bombard people with rates, product information, terms and conditions, image galleries, all that stuff. Then, no, you want to start building a relationship, and you want someone to say, hey, nice to hear from you, Kevin. This sounds really interesting. I'd love to learn more about what you do. That's what you want, okay? And from that point, the key things they want are, just back to my little notes here, they want these key things. So marketing materials and tour descriptions, your terms and conditions, and a rate sheet, okay? So you can do this in a bunch of different ways. Again, my examples are in the program for anyone who does not know about them or is not familiar with them, but something along the lines of this. They want something really, really cool that has your tour descriptions and your product information, and you can use mine as inspiration to create your own. This first version here has some yellow highlighted notes, so accompanying notes on it, just the first one in my tours. But ultimately, you've got a tour summary, you've got a hero image, you've got your highlights and inclusions, you've got experience enhancers perhaps, which is really effective for me. You've got your net rates and your retail rates, okay? You could perhaps do it slightly differently, whereby you might have a separate rates sheets, and I'll just see if I can find that as an example here for you. Rates sheets, whoops, I had it there. Rates sheets, there it is. So take a look at that. You could have like a separate rate sheet, which has got your and okay, I've just dropped this into the program in the inside the tour business resources. So your retail rate, your net rate, number of packs, you know, mine were all private tours, but it'd be really cool for you guys to see. So I had my luxurious day tours, my original range of tours, those entry-level tours I talked about, then my up-leveled collection of unforgettable journeys there as well. Okay, they want to see that. Then they're going to want to see your terms and conditions. And my terms and conditions I've got in the program in the inside the tour business resources. And again, jump in there, have a look at the way I presented mine. But ultimately, what you want is these key elements. You've got a little bit about you as a company, maybe something about your fleet of vehicles or your equipment, if you run kayaks, for example, or SUPs or whatever it is, perhaps maybe some images, something about the team, key contacts, your rates, information about rates, your cancellation policies, payment terms, scheduling information. So that's some key information you'd want in your terms and conditions document, okay? And you might want an image gallery attached there. And then like a great cover email, okay? Which this one was a great effective one that we had that when we presented our rates on an annual basis. This was for partners that we'd already created a partnership with. But again, there's some explanatory notes there. We took the opportunity to reinforce why we're so great and why we should continue to use them as their preferred operator, but you could use that for a new, new agent as well. Tell them what's attached, just so they know and they can actually, like navigate it or find it quickly and easily. And then a great opportunity to tell about what's new, what's happening that's new and exciting. This would also be a great opportunity. So when you're distributing your rates and itineraries, just like, hey guy, nice to meet you. Here's the stuff that you requested. Missing an opportunity. Okay. So that is the key elements of your outreach process. Okay. Then the next step in your outreach is the follow-up. Okay. Whoops, terrible typing again. I am one of the world's worst typers. Assume with your follow-up that all the magic is not going to happen in the first one, the second one, the third one, or the fourth one, okay? People lose interest after follow-up too. Big mistake. Some of the biggest magic that happened in my business happened after 5 follow-ups. Hey, look, I know you're really busy. You might have seen that email that I sent through with all that great and product information. You know what? I might even try and follow you up with a call next week. How does that sound? All right. Great. Then you follow up with a call. You don't get them. You send them another email. Hey, Debbie, I hope you got my message. I tried to follow you up as promised a couple of days ago. I'm sure you're flat out doing blah, blah, blah. Just to reiterate, I'd love to just jump on a super quick call and walk you through, some of that information that I sent you through. You know what? I'll try and follow you up again next week. Okay. 5 follow-ups. That's fine. Because on the 5th one, you're going to get an email from Debbie saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I've been out of the office for a month on the road. This looks amazing. Let's have a call. Okay. Because someone it's ego. Because someone doesn't answer your call doesn't mean they don't want to hear from you. Okay. They're just busy like everyone. All right. Never get pissed off. Never get your nose out of joint. Like, hey, clearly you don't want to hear from me because, you haven't responded to 5 emails. It's not all about you. Okay. All right. So be prepared for 5 follow-ups. Email with a promise of a call. Call with a promise of an email. Email with a promise of a call. Boom, boom, boom. Until someone takes notice of you. Okay. Always apologetic, always mindful that they're very, very busy people. Does that make sense? So the next thing you want to do is training. All right. And a familiar. So what you'd like to do, if it's feasibly possible, get someone on one of your experiences. Okay. So if you're working with an inbound tour operator, training, then you want to get someone from their office on one of your tours. All right. That is the number one most effective way. Nicola, if you're running a small, if you're running walking tours, you're like, hey, what I'd love to do is grab you for an hour and just give you the best of the best.
Okay.
Just a little indicative taste of what it's like to tour with Yellow Shoes Tours. Doesn't need to be the whole thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to go and sit down and do a 5-course degustation at $300. Okay. But you're going to give them that little test or taste of what it's like to be on one of your tours. Okay. If you're running scheduled tours, it's a lot easier. You can just stick someone in your vehicle. Okay. But how could you give someone a taste of what you do? All right. Without blowing the budget. That's the question. Okay. So that's that. And then the training. Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to create a training presentation, which could be like an accompanying presentation. And what I mean by that is, so start working on a training presentation that looks like this, but think about, okay, so it could look like this, but then you're going to condense this into like 5 bullet points. Okay. So that's that. But also all of the important stuff, because an agent needs to learn, how do I use you? What's important? Think about everything an agent might need to know to sell what you do. Okay. I don't have an example of a training presentation, but think about that. You want to condense the key features and highlights of your tours into a training presentation in about 4 to 5 bullet points with like maybe 3 or 4 hero images. Okay. Then you want to talk about your fleet of vehicles. You want to talk about how to book you. You want to talk about some of the processes that make it easy. All right. So I don't have the answers for you, but you want a training presentation to accompany your marketing materials. Okay. That's the first step. You can do it in PowerPoint, convert or export it into PDF. Okay. And that will be the next thing that you present with someone with. Okay. All right. Not at the same time. That's follow-up 5. Hey, I've got this really great, once you're actually loaded, they're like, yeah, I'm going to take you this stuff and I'm going to get it loaded into the system. Then the training process. Then after that, what you want to do is 1 or 2 things. Ideally, you want to get in their office. Okay. I'd love 30 minutes to actually spend with your team to show them firsthand what I do. Okay. That's ideal. If you're running tours in Australia, you want to get up to Sydney. There's like 25 inbound tour operators in Sydney. You want to plan your own 2-day roadshow sales call, and you want, maybe even get a bunch of operators together and just like partner up with 2 or 3. Okay. I would love 30 minutes of your time in the boardroom with your reservations team just to show you what I do firsthand. Okay. A lot of them are really receptive to that. I'll work around you. You let me know if there's any slot, any day between now and the end of the year that I can come into your office. I'll make it happen. You don't necessarily need to make it happen, but that's the level of desire you've got to have. Okay. Then you can start to piece it all together. All right. Effective way is to get 2 or 3 complimentary tours and go up there and do the same thing. Okay. So that's that. And then the next step is to turn your PDF training presentation into a Zoom presentation. All right. So get a PowerPoint together, just like I'm doing here, do a share screen and walk people through with slides hey, it's Kevin here. I just wanted to create this training presentation for your team. I thought it'd be really effective for you to learn a little bit about me, about my tours, and about how you can book us. All right. So tiny bit of background, couple of minutes. This is who I am. This is why I do what I do. This is what I'm passionate about. This is why I launched, Banff Day Trips. Okay. So next, this is what I do. So here's my fleet of vehicles. This is the way that my tours work. Here's some real highlights and some images on those. And ideally what you want to do is do that in a live session. You can invite 50 different operators to that and do it live for 30 minutes on a Thursday in 2 weeks, okay? With a Q&A afterwards. Or if you're trying to build in confidence, just record it, edit it, and just give that as a training presentation to an ITO or to an agent, okay? That'll be hugely valuable as well, all right? And then if you do all that, boom, you're going to build a 7-figure business. Bang, easy as that. Any questions? So I think that that is enough of a download for one day. That, I didn't use that strategy first of all. I kind of grew it, evolved it, refined it, improved it. But if I had my time again and I had the resources, the bandwidth, I had some people in a sales role who could help me with this process. That is end-to-end what I would do if I wanted to start driving $1 million a year of sales through a bunch of agents, okay? I'm going to just take questions. And what I'm actually hoping more than anything is that I can marry up those 2 recordings from the first and the second, and to bring it together in one. But I want to jump over to Charlie in a couple of minutes. So to hear about what he's got going on with Painted Circle. Has anyone got any questions for me? Just for the immediate on agents, how to grow agent business. I'm going to take this recording and drop it into the members area as well with some of those resources that I talked about that aren't already in the program. But questions? No. All right. So covered it all off. I hope you guys have all got like a strategy now, like a step by step. There's work involved. It's not going to happen by waving a magic wand, but actually having a focused strategy. I've got to do this, then this, then this, then this, and then I'm going to see like an incredible result. And I think a lot of you can actually follow that pathway. Not necessarily every single strategy, but a lot of you can follow the pathway to actually start building a list, marketing to that list, getting that, getting training into agents, getting their first opportunity, and then just start, nurturing and fostering and growing that relationship. Cool. All right. If there's no questions, some of you may have them that come to mind down the line, so that's great. But I'll Sean, a lot of great stuff there. Where can we pick up the docs on the website? What do you mean the docs on the website, mate? Just jump on and explain.
Just on the training, in the training portal.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm going to drop this recording into week 3 because it's, improving business performance.
Okay.
And then directly beneath that, I'm going to drop in the ATE buyer's guide, the Victorian International Exchange, the Buy USA market report for 2013.
Okay.
So you're going to have them there. And yeah, I think I clarified pretty clearly to you guys how you can actually use those documents for ideas, for inspiration, for actual outreach as well, irrespective of which destination you're running tours in. But I'll do that. That'll happen over the next few days. Okay.
Great. Thanks.